Machine learning, it's crazy. Like right now, I'm running a machine learning model that will tell me how bad I suck at video games in real time. But honestly, I don't think it's very accurate.
Defeat.
Never mind, it's pretty accurate. So machine learning, it's hot right now. It's the future. ChatGPT, all the buzzwords, you know. And it's how you ended up watching this video. Thank you, YouTube algorithm. Love you. And I'm making this video because I want to tell you you can absolutely learn this technology. You don't need a degree, you don't need to be a math genius, and you can learn this all for free. This video game thing, you're actually going to set this up yourself by the end of this video, using all the crazy machine learning data science tools in the Oracle Cloud, or OCI, and it will be completely free thanks to our sponsor, Oracle. And by the way, you'll find out that if you do want to get started with machine learning, this right here is the best way to start. Just jump in and stink and do it using real tools that real data scientists and machine learning engineers actually use. I'm telling you about machine learning, but I'm not a machine learning engineer. Why should you listen to me? Santiago, he's a machine learning engineer. In fact, you know that dog Spot from Boston Dynamics? Jumps around, sees things, sometimes pees beer into a cup. Santiago's on the team that makes that happen. It's machine learning, and specifically it's called computer vision.
We build computer vision algorithms to help the robots see the world.
And also, Nacho, he's a machine learning engineer. He's the guy who's gonna help you get set up with that machine learning video game thing later.
I created like 3 workshops, and the idea is to get started on the most basic concepts that I found out that are, most important in machine learning.
And they're both gonna help me explain the wonders of machine learning and how you can get started down this kind of crazy and extremely lucrative career path. I mean, talk about future-proof, dude. And by the way, I'm obsessed with machine learning now. I can't stop playing with it, so thanks a lot, Oracle. But before we get into that, let's first define what the junk even is machine learning. Santiago, what is machine learning?
Machine learning is teaching a computer how to learn from data. Like if you're a software developer, you're used to craft a set of rules in order to accomplish something, right? Let's say you want to play tic-tac-toe. You will create rules like if the computer plays here, I'm gonna play there. If the other player plays here, right? You will craft those rules. You will use loops and conditions and any programming tools that you have. Mm-hmm. Machine learning is a little bit different, and it turns this on its head. So machine learning starts with a lot of samples, right? It's like, hey, this is the temperature over a year for this particular region. Can you craft the rules automatically in order to predict what the temperature will be tomorrow?
So we're teaching a computer to do something without us explicitly telling it to do something. If you're like me, you're like, what? What does that mean exactly? What's the process? How does that work? Let me give you one quick example before we dive in. We'll start by defining our problem. What do we want to teach the computer? And I want to teach it how to identify a photo of me. Is this a photo of Network Chuck? Yes or no? But how do we do that? How do we teach it to recognize me? Data. The answer is data. We give it a ton of pictures of me. Different pictures, me doing this and that, all kinds of stuff. And we'll label it so it knows it's me. And while we're at it, it also might help to see photos of not me, so it can know what to not look for. So we'll get a bunch of those of not me. With our data assembled, we can now train our computer. He's in training, he's a trainee. But hold up, before we can teach him, we have to choose how he's going to learn. And that's called our machine learning algorithm. There are a lot out there doing some crazy math, but I think the one we want will be a convolutional neural network. Now, do I know how that works? No. But do I know that it might be good for the situation? Yes. So now we spoon feed the data and the algorithm will start to learn, to start recognizing the pattern of me. Every time it sees a beard or crazy eyes or a man bun, it'll say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna weigh that feature higher. Or if it doesn't see one, it'll lower it. And it will crunch through all this data, learning me. And then for good measure, we'll feed it pictures of not me, so it knows what to not look for. And now he's done. He finished the training data. He's no longer a trainee. Now we can test him with testing data to see how he performs. Now, while this example is very simple, that's all a machine learning model is, which is what we just made. It's a file that's been trained to recognize certain types of patterns. Now, it could happen that your machine learning model sucks and its accuracy is like 10%. That's where being a machine learning engineer comes into play. You have to learn what to do to make that model more accurate. You have to learn those skills, and I'm gonna show you how to do it right now. Now, according to Santiago, the first step in learning machine learning is just to start doing it.
I prefer the style of teaching and learning where you start right in the deep end, and then you start unpacking things, breaking down pieces and say, okay, I need this in order to understand this particular piece. Let me go and watch that video. or I need this. I do not understand exactly how the chain rule works. Let me just pick up this video, go to YouTube or whatever. I'm going to understand that and then I can move on. That's the way I would recommend people to approach this.
So let's just start doing it, shall we? Let's build a machine learning algorithm that can tell you how bad you suck at video games. Check the link below. Let's get signed up for a free Oracle Cloud account OCI. And by the way, signing up for OCI right now means you get a $300 credit to do whatever you stinking want, within reason. More than enough to play with this machine learning stuff. So once you have your account, we got 3 delicious labs to go through.
I created like 3 workshops that are, you can do them on your own, about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And the idea is to get started on the most basic concepts that I found out.
And they cover everything from data extraction, getting your data ready like we did with the photos, to actually building models with different tools, scikit-learn, AutoGluon, and even building a neural network. Who can say they built a neural network? You can, after this thing you're doing. Coffee break. The first one I'm going to start with is data extraction, because it's going to teach you a ton about data science as we're walking through this. Once you got it loaded up, go ahead and click on Start, and then click on Run on your tenancy, which just means you're going to be running on your own OCI stuff, because you have a free account. Now you probably guessed that the video game we're talking about is League of Legends. It's kind of a complex game. It's you playing with 4 other players to try and destroy the other player's base, essentially. And there are a lot of factors that come into play. What character you choose, the potions and nerdy stuff you might buy, how much gold you collect, all the stuff that happens in the match. All those are things that are important features that might determine if you're going to win or lose. And it's in this lab we'll learn how to identify those features and feed it into a machine learning algorithm. It's kind of crazy. Now, if you are following along with this lab, the first thing you want to do is set up your infrastructure in OCI. We'll be using a lot of stuff. Their data science, Cloud Shell, Compute, Autonomous JSON database, all for free, all for fun. No, it really is pretty cool. Oh, and one more thing you want to do is you'll want to sign up for League of Legends, because you're going to get an API key to pull all kinds of data from previous matches and live matches as you're playing. It's free, it's easy. I'll link below. You'll follow it along. For the infrastructure, we're doing all of this. Deploy with Terraform and Ansible. Nacho gives you all the code, everything in this walkthrough. You don't have to worry about a thing, just click, click, click. You probably won't even know what's happening half the time, and that's fine. You're just deploying infrastructure, just follow directions. I'm gonna do mine right now. Now, number 2, the next thing you'll want to do to become a machine learning engineer, and that is to learn why the junk data science. Like, why do we do it? What is it? What's the process? The first thing you want to do is hang out with Nacho. Nacho's going to hold your hand and show you what it's like to actually tackle a real-world machine learning problem. And using the OCI hands-on labs, you'll get hands-on to actually do this yourself. And this is so cool because you get a chance to see how a machine learning engineer thinks, how they approach a problem. Shoot, he's got 5 articles detailing every single thing he does and why he did it. So if you want to understand the big what and why of machine learning, this is like the best place to start. You're doing it, and he's telling you why. And if you need a bit more, which I often do, there is some structured learning out there for how to understand the whole machine learning process. Santiago recommends Brilliant.
If you're like from the very, very, very beginning, like you've never seen this, you don't even know where to start, I would recommend Brilliant. They have a data science path that's fantastic.
It'll help you to start thinking like a data scientist. Now, this is for you if you're very brand new to data science. Like, you don't even know what I'm saying right now. This is a paid option, but according to Santiago, it's fantastic.
Like, I want my 8 years old to take it. It's that basic, right? But it's a great start that's gonna just give you an idea what you need to face. So I would love that path.
But the point of this step is to get you to understand the whole point of data science and to start thinking like a data scientist, which is important for machine learning. But also, from step 1, going deep with our example on Oracle Cloud. Again, we're looking at the game League of Legends and how we can predict the winner of a match. And it's getting in the mindset of how to figure that out that makes this lab so crazy valuable. Because as I mentioned, League of Legends is kind of complex. So we'll need to look at the game and identify features that will affect the outcome of a match. So things like what champion you choose, what lane you pick, how much gold you earn, how many minions you kill, all kinds of things. So taking all that and figuring that stuff out and using machine learning tools to do it, don't miss this. Try this out. And in the first workshop, we're actually learning how to extract that data to get it from the Riot Games API, which I'm going to do right now. Which, by the way, what we're doing in the data extraction process, the lab, according to Santiago and Nacho, this is like 70 to 80% of the machine learning engineer job. It's getting the data, the right data, preparing it, making it look nice and neat so that when you give it to your machine learning algorithm, it can learn a lot, learn well. So right here, I'm pulling a bunch of data down from the API. And I'm telling you, this lab is so cool because you're learning what it takes to predict this kind of thing. So right now we're collecting historical data, a bunch of data on previous professional game matches. So we're pulling all the professional players and all the matches they've played in, and just so much data about each of those things, with a goal of then giving that data to an algorithm to crunch it and figure out who's going to win. Now, while we're pulling in this data, I think it's important to point out the third thing you'll need to become a machine learning engineer. And that is a little bit of Python. And actually slightly more than a little. You'll want an intermediate level of Python expertise. And if you don't know what Python is, it's a programming language used by most of IT at this point. And when it comes to data science and machine learning, it's the darling. It's what people use. Now, how do machine learning engineers use Python? Well, in this example right now, I'm actually pulling match information from the Riot Games API, but I'm doing that with Python code. Here's the code right here. This code is a function that's getting player information from the Riot Games API. Then we had to use more code to pretty up the data a bit, to prepare it for our machine learning algorithm, to where we end up with something like this. We didn't get the data like this, we had to shape it and form it with code. So I do want to point out that you don't have to be a Python expert. You don't have to develop actual Python software, but scripting, doing intermediate things is something you want to learn. Now, how do you learn it? Ton of free resources out there. Paid options are always good. They give you a structured process, IT Pro TV, Codecademy. I also have a Python course freely available on YouTube in progress, but you'll learn a ton. And of course, there are other Python videos on YouTube. Now, at this point, you do know a thing or two about machine learning. You've dabbled with it. You know some Python, so you're pretty dangerous. Now it's time for Kaggle, step 4. Santiago recommends a course on Kaggle, the Intro to Machine Learning. This course right here, I believe it's free. You don't even have to log in, which is kind of crazy. And this will take you into that next step of machine learning, giving you a good base. And doing this will actually help you in the OCI lab. If we look back at our League of Legends lab, here in OCI, I'm actually going to access the data science section. And if you went through the data extraction lab, you'll already have a data science project and a League of Legends notebook session. Here in our OCI data science environment, we have a Jupyter notebook, which will give us a real taste of what being a machine learning engineer is actually kind of like. Because again, this is tools they actually use. Jupyter notebooks are amazing, by the way, if you've never used them. And we got it built in right here into OCI. Through this process, you're going to get to see, use, and experience things like pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, all things you're going to learn through your data science courses, but in real life and stuff. You'll see what it looks like to split your data into test and training data sets. Now, step 5. You're not going to like this one. The math. You can't escape it. It is part of this. The good news is that you don't have to learn a crazy amount. According to Santiago, all you have to do is learn high school level math.
You have, like, let's say high school math. You can get into machine learning and pick up stuff as you need it.
I also asked Nacho, do you have to go back to college to learn all this math stuff?
No, I mean, I couldn't disagree more. You have a base, but it's not 100% required. You don't need a PhD or anything, or you don't need to know deep math to know how to use something.
Now, if you remember everything from high school and you took more advanced classes in high school than I did, you're probably fine. But if you're like me, you probably need to go back and brush up a bit. Statistics, probability, calculus, those kind of things. Thankfully, there's a ton of stuff out there to learn math now. Like there's Brilliant, which has a high school math thing, whole course here. You can also go to Khan Academy. There's YouTube, limitless opportunity to learn math. Do you absolutely need it for machine learning? You could probably get by. A lot of the tools you'll use in machine learning abstract away the math, so you don't necessarily need it. But it's super helpful to understand what's happening, to understand the algorithms you're using and why use them. You'll see as you're going through this League of Legends lab that there's math involved. Now, after you've brushed up on your math, now it's time to move on to the big stuff. Santiago, tell him about Andrew Ng.
The machine learning specialization, by the way, the previous version of it was the most popular machine learning course in the world ever, with millions of enrollments. He redid that last year. It's great. He starts from scratch, but he's not afraid of the math. And you shouldn't be either.
So this is a machine learning specialization on Coursera. It's got 3 courses and it is going to make you awesome. I believe it is free unless you want a certificate. Now at this point, dude, you've learned a ton about machine learning. And just like a good machine learning model, it's time to tweak your model, your head. You gotta get better at this. That's what I'm trying to say. It's time to hone your skills. And for that, there's no better way than just getting more hands-on experience. Take all that you've learned and do it. Again and again and again. And one of the best ways is, again, the OCI hands-on labs we have access to right now. One thing you'll find out in learning machine learning is that Nacho has a really solid example, but he invites you to tweak it, to make it better. Because as you'll see, the model is pretty cool. Like it's pretty accurate, but it could be better. So you need to figure out, hey, how can I add more features? How can I make the data better? How can I get more data? Maybe I'll choose a different algorithm and keep practicing until you get better results. That's machine learning. And maybe League of Legends is not your thing. It certainly wasn't mine before this. Now I'm kind of addicted. Take another game, see if they have an API, pull the data, play with it, go crazy. Another option for practice is Kaggle, once again. They have competitions, data science competitions, which is kind of crazy. And what this looks like is they'll give you data sets and they'll say, hey, predict things better than all these other people. And if you can do that, if you can use your machine learning skills, there's prize money, $100,000, 60, like what is this? But anyways, you'll come back here to start practicing your data science and machine learning skills. The cool thing about Kaggle is they already have the data there. The hard part most of the time with machine learning is gathering the data. They've got the data sets. And I would say at this point, you know machine learning. You're at a point where you can start to build your own models, build your own portfolio, and start looking for jobs. Who knows, you might get hired on as a junior, intern, whatever. So these 8 steps, this path, will teach you what you need to know to become a machine learning engineer. You don't need college. You don't need to be a math genius. You can do this. And even if you don't want to become a machine learning engineer, just going through these labs, which is free from OCI, thank you Oracle, does just let you know what's out there. Like it or not, machine learning is the future. And who knows, you might have a knack for it. Now back to League of Legends. If you followed along, you collected your data, you trained your model, and set up the model to run locally on your computer, like I am here, which by the way, Nacho again has all of this as a walkthrough. He details in GitHub how to do it. In OCI, he walks you through every step, including the local machine situation. And at this point, you can predict how quickly you're going to lose this game like I am. So please actually let me know if you set this up. I would love to know.